Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series Recap, our weekly show where we go through all of the action, everything that's gone down in Series E over the last week. My name is Yeso. I'll be your host today. Excited to join all of you as we wrap up and close up the first third of the season. It's been an incredible run so far. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A pretty heavy day, especially on the Apex side with everything we saw in ALGS last weekend. So super excited about that. I've got a couple of very, very special guests joining me on the show today. So looking forward to getting to talk with them and hear their thoughts on all of the latest in Apex Legends and Guilty Gear Strive. But let's get the show underway. We're kicking it off with Apex. Let's go.
And now we're seeing it once again, just like Game 2, slowed down, but Fury won.
Time and time again, and cheese it. They think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
It gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hakula is going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
All right, of course, we're starting things off with the tried and true, the OG Series E Apex Legends, and I've got, as I mentioned, a very special guest joining me on the show today. You may recognize her from IGN, a lot of different Series E broadcasts. Stella joining me on the show today. And Stella, you mentioned it while we were talking back and forth before the show. First time we actually get to hang out, talk, interact on the show as opposed to tossing back and forth to each other. So it's nice to be here with you today. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, finally, it's nice to interact with you aside from just like chatting.
Yeah.
And like DMing you. It's nice, yeah. Anyways, very nice to be here. So glad to finally be talking to you physically. The only regret I have is that I am not taking up the entire couch over there, but eventually yes. I will.
You know what? We will reserve some space for you on the couch. It's all yours when you want to come into the studio. You just let us know. We'll make it happen. But excited to have you here today, of course. We are talking Week 6. We will hit some discussion on ALGS Playoffs as well. But we did wrap up Week 6 this week. A couple of days of awesome action. So let's check out some highlights from what we saw this past week. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E. We're ready to go. The cast is ready to go. The games are ready to start. So let's kick off Week 6 of Series E.
Boom. No better, no worse there. I will say I'd be careful here. If Fury pulls something like a stretch like that again, they could potentially capitalize. But now Splash looking to take advantage of the damage. Now that the defensive bombardment is down, start this fight off. And I can tell you right now, Furia will be in shortly. The visit that will provide here is 2 members remaining. Fury, they've got no work ahead.
Oh yeah, they do, and they have the way better armor too. There are the winners for game number 1.
Through from above will give Rejects the opportunity to find the win here. They're already throwing
this is such a this is giving me PTSD after seeing that moment of TSM Imperial Howl utilizing the base to try to deliver properly here. But look, as the circle closes in, they're gonna have to give up the high ground eventually. See Razor now dancing around these domes, but with Drez being on this mount, he can delay the inevitable. Look at Young Pop-Tart. The skies are congested now as Razor has lost Fearing lives.
And Rejects, no surprise. They're the Rez is already out. Back in zone, there is now Scissors is forced to move from the rock. Quickly is taken out to bring us down to our last 2 Inferior. They're gonna hop this fence line and they're gonna find out that they've got nothing to work with.
Remember, this is Nerf and Fury. These are 2 consistent squads, but Fury is forced to traverse through the open field. Nerf have the clear advantage here as Sport Squad falls low, but they manage to get the first knock as Tech goes down. Zero goes down to the ring. It's only 1 left. They can't do it, but Nerf or not.
Here, I know it's a 2-man roster, but they play like they've got 3 here, spreading the wealth of that angle as MBS is forced to scurry. 1 member down now, 2 Stealth trying to capitalize in any way possible for the rest of his squad here. Will be taken out more than quickly as now, of course, Nerf, 1 member left standing. They just have to pull through on the back end here and take out Bursty for the win.
And this is our has been called. Where are you going to redeploy in front of Tech?
They're down. Now redeploy up in the air. We won't know what's happening with MBS as Fury are down to their last member standing here as Tech takes the fight directly to Razor. All 3 members looking more than healthy. Only MBS's Cryptic still alive there. I believe the Valk just slowly floating down from above here as Razor, I think this is their game.
Yeah, this is the comeback that I love to see. Razor getting all their members on board. You see the alternator, you see them surround the truck. There is no one to throw. Why are you running? Here they go. Razor have come tossing out the grenades. You were highlighting it. The rat was still alive. Yep. And you see the base now. Are they going to be able to capitalize off of that now with the other rat having to come down from the high ground?
You think at this point they just negotiate with each other?
Hey, you know this sucks, man. You can't do anything about it. Intel.
Rest. Let's take a look. Our mobile one last time here. See who came out on top.
And it's Furia, the team that has been so consistent.
Jeez.
Like we had just heard earlier here. Game 1, that's the game that they took everything. But despite that game, they had so much KP.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to Series E. We're bringing you that Season 4 action, our 6th week here as we approach Pro Night. Put this one out. It really will be going down here, but as it is a 2v1, they look to see as Designful slides forward here. Stay naughty on the high ground will fall as Zach Mazer now brings us to our 1v1. He hides behind his teammate Shield, and even still though, C9 defend, pick up the win.
Much as possible, making sure that they push the other team off, and they're going to drop last second here. Oh, and the Drop Alter Dome comes out. Fun FPS just laying down as many Peacekeeper shots as possible, and Liquid takes second game. Amazing. Absolutely. But Hal also on Valkyrie is like, no, you're not going to go anywhere. You are mine.
I mean, they don't even have to risk it. They can give us a fairly boring ending as, oh my gosh.
Oh my god, no way!
First to fall in the face here of our final closing zone as C9 will take advantage of that pressure and begin to wipe out the rest. Finally, the position playing to their advantage. Scurry to the sky, straight upon the lights, trying to hide in the shadows, but it's just too bright. Falls down, and C9 are your champions. Aggressive goes down to the ring. Obviously, no longer the car in play of cover. They try to throw down the respawn beacon to work with that one there. The missile's down as Bursty will be the next to fall, bringing us to Complexity versus TSM. Our two train yard cars. Complexity, they're the first ones to move out. Now, Mono E Mono, dome for dome, but Monsoon Reptar, they don't last. First member to fall here, Penny as well. Complexity from behind just to clean this one up, tries to send one member down, but Monsoon is unable to do it. Now, Shiny into the fray here. Team Liquid, they're low from their initial fights. Nocturnal is set up from a bar. From behind, they have switched position. Reptar, only 20 health left, a single tick, and Liquid turn against the fate of it all. Let's see where they fell overall.
Ooh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Very fun week 6 there of action. Got to see Open and Pro Night there. Of course, Furia taking the win on Open Night, and then just chaotic back and forth performance all throughout the night on Pro Night that saw TSM on top, carrying the momentum from the success they had last Sunday. A lot to pull apart here. Stella, what kind of jumps out from you off the rip from what you saw this week?
Well, I want to talk about Pro Night since that's the one that I was casting.
Sure.
Yeah, TSM, I feel like TSM is, with them being one of the best teams in NA, it's really funny to see them play because sometimes they don't wake up till like halfway through.
Sure.
And that's when they pull out like the big points. They pull out their big guns and they're just like, oh yeah, we got to catch up. We let everyone have a little bit of points. Now we should really take the lead, and I'll take that first place from you. And I feel like that's exactly what happened. I mean, their last game was a little bit shaky, but it's always so good to see how consistent they are throughout like each of their matches. And I know with ALGS, there was also that sort of teeter-tottering, but they did get match point in like game 4, which was early on. So I don't know. It's always so fun to see TSM in pro nights because you can kind of see them like ramping up with each game. So I absolutely love watching that.
Yeah, and we got, it was almost like a little version of Apex fan fiction there with getting Sweet playing on the team.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Instead of Verholst, which is crazy to think about. Of course, then there was the
God.
debate in chat. I think we even posted a poll. It was like, who's the best IGL? And it was Hal, Sweet, and like a couple other choices. And that's certainly an interesting
God.
discussion to have, but that's a crazy three-man to see with Hal, Reps, and Sweet together. There's no way we're going to see that anytime soon with just the way that these rosters are built and how strong both teams are between NRG and TSM. But it was, fun to think about the possibilities. And I think you're right. Seeing TSM ramp up like that, and it feels like, and we'll get into it further later, but that's a bit of what we saw over the last 6 weeks in the run up to the ALGS playoffs this past weekend. And it felt like they just saved almost the entire ramp up for Sunday because there was so many people. There was all the discussion of like TSM is washed and all these different things in the run up to it, and they came out and said, yeah, how does this look, pretty washed to you guys? So TSM always very fun to watch. Also interesting the way I really was fascinated by that last clip at the end of Game 6 when we're watching Complexity and Liquid go back and forth at the end. And the funny thing was I paid attention after the show. I was really curious and looked at how the kills were going to play out. And that literal last kill was for third place. If Complexity actually takes that kill, the swing of points would have jumped them up to third. And in the grand scheme of things, it's only paid out for first and second. But it was just funny to see how every kill matters so much in these games that it can dictate something as big as third place there. But it was really a fun night of games. I enjoyed it, especially seeing C9 perform really well. It feels like since what happened back in Champs in June, a lot of folks after all the knocked and Alrelele business haven't been kind of as high on the roster despite the pure just name value, talent value you have on that team. And it seems like C9 is really starting to trend in the right direction. I think they looked good last weekend, and they looked very good on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, I feel they have really strong heavy hitters on C9. I mean, it's not like any of these pro teams are really lacking in firepower. I think it's just a matter of listen, we all log on, we all have bad days, and sometimes those bad days come at a really bad time where you just can't find that groove with your teammates. It doesn't matter how many times you practice with them, something just might be off, and if you can't figure that out quickly, you are going to be out of sync for the rest of the matches, and that's going to go very poorly. And I think that's kind of what we saw early on in early ALGS for C9, which is really unfortunate because they would almost have clutches, but they just weren't able to follow up. But yesterday we saw that they were really vibing, and they were really working together, and you could see how coordinated they were. So it's just like a lot of practice, a lot of needing to really play more with each other, because I know that a lot of pros kind of switch off teammates for ranked and everything, but even ranked could be used as practice to make sure that you are getting along with your teammates and that you are getting used to how everyone plays, because it can vary from person to person.
Definitely. And I think a big thing, too, for that C9 roster in particular, I was lucky to get the opportunity to sit down and talk with Zach on our podcast a few months back, and the discussion about bringing Alb in. And, of course, Alrelele has a very specific way he wants to play the game. He has a lot of opinions and can be a very strong IGL, but the discussion between them was figuring out whether Alb was going to be the main IGL on the team or if it was going to be Zach. They were testing things out back then, and now it has seemed pretty definitively that they have gone with Zach Mazer as the IGL for the team. And so I think there's going to be a certain amount of growing pains just in that situation, in particular with Alb abdicating those IGL responsibilities to Zach, learning to kind of trust and have faith in his calls, and the whole team kind of following through on that. And it seems like C9 is really reaching that place where Zach now has full trust, faith from his teammates. And I think now that we have seen that happen, now it's like C9 could go to the moon, because I think they are an incredible team. And also, I have to credit, I'm a big fan of PvPX, their coach, and I think when you also have that kind of brain behind your team, that the sky's the limit for a squad like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And confidence is everything, too. So the fact that they are getting along, they are able to pull out these big wins and be able to win a lot of big fights. Not even so the thing is, with Apex, you don't need to win to feel like you're accomplished. So the fact that they are winning a lot of these really clutch fights because they've been working together, they've been listening to one person who is their leader, it's huge. That's going to go a long ways for them. And I know I'm very curious. I really wish we had comms for yesterday for Hal and Sweet, because I have no idea how that IGLing worked. I still have yet to go back to Hal and Sweet streams to watch that. But yeah, that's why it's like sometimes having two people who want IGL, you can butt heads so much, and you just kind of have to relinquish that right to someone else just so you can get the entire team on the same page.
Yeah, definitely can be a difficult dynamic to manage. I do want to pull up our overall Series E standings right now. Of course, we've been talking a lot about the pro teams because they really popped off this week, and it really seemed like a lot of the Series E squads took a step back. It was, in fact, the first week of the season that we didn't see one of the Series E partnered squads taking the win on open night, as, of course, that went to Furia. So this is the current state of our overall standings right now in Series E. Vizio remaining in control with over 200 points separating them from second place Team Nerf, but this is a Nerf squad who has now firmly placed themselves in the conversation here for the top of the table. But the really interesting thing you'll notice is that there's only 59 points separating second from sixth place. So nothing has been decided in any stretch with how the rest of the season is going to shake out in Series E.
Ooh, I didn't even notice that at first. I was only looking at top 3. Yeah, you're right. That's up in the air. I mean, hey man, just got to pull out everything you got for the next few weeks. Like, oh my God, that is not a big lead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very close, and I think it just means that, you know, we're going to continue to see very exciting and tight races throughout the season. It's funny because I feel like in seasons past, we have really seen the top 3 to 4 teams always separate themselves significantly. Even if Vizio had that large lead over the second place, there was still felt like that top of the ladder was in a class of their own, and the bottom side was playing catch up so significantly, but that's not the case this time around, and I think it just keeps things interesting. I love the fact that Razor, even through 6 weeks, have had quite an up and down season, but are still right in the running, have put up the, you know, enough points on the board to where a team like Team Excedrin, which I have felt like at multiple times in the season is maybe the second best team in Series E, has dropped down to 5th. Now again, that margin of a lead for Intel and Nerf is not that large, so it just shows that these teams have an incredible amount of opportunities in the long season ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at the roster too, and I feel like Razor has always been one of those teams that has also been consistent for ESA. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing them pull up more points and stuff over the weeks. So, yeah.
We'll have to see how things shake out. Let's do a couple of predictions here. Put our money where our mouth is as we get ready for Week 7. I'm curious, which one of those Series E squads do you kind of have your eye on going into Week 7? Somebody you think is going to pop off, or maybe you're looking for something more from one of these teams? You know what?
Team Nerf. I believe in Team Nerf. Yesterday we saw them holding their own in quite a few fights, and it's so funny though, because like I see that Vizio is, you know, they are leading, but I didn't get that vibe from them yesterday. I'm so sorry, team. It's nothing personal, okay? It's just what I saw. This is what I saw. All right, listen. But I did see Nerf win out on quite a few clutch fights, and that's going to go a long way. So I'm saying Team Nerf might pop off.
I think that's a good choice. Of course, Nerf coming off of back-to-back second-place finishes the prior 2 weeks on Pro Nights behind G2 when they were popping off. So I think they're certainly looking really good. And they had one of their better open night performances on Tuesday as well. And now they, of course, jumped up to second place. So I think that's a good idea. I'm still going to have my eye on Excedrin. This is a squad that I've talked about quite a bit this season through the qualifiers. The main point for me always was the consistency. Even if they weren't finishing in first or second place, they were always putting up good chunks of points. That's why they got into the season, and I think they have continued that here so far through 6 weeks. I still want to see them have that big performance, that big showing, a first or second place where I feel like they really set themselves apart from the pack, and I think they have the opportunity. But I'm hoping for Excedrin to keep that consistency up and continue to close that gap with Vizio, because there's still a lot of work for these teams to do. Okay. There's our predictions for next week, teams to keep your eye on. We're going to have a little fun here. Stella and I were talking back and forth over the last couple of days, and we wanted to do kind of a fun little thought debate experiment here. So we're going to play a little bit of pick a side. I have set up 3 different
boy.
scenarios where Stella and I are each going to have to take opposing sides of a prediction and defend our position. So the first one, I'm going to allow Stella to choose her position. So
Ooh, okay.
the 2 positions for this one are either Vizio won't finish top 3 this season, or Intel will win Season 4 of Series E. Which side do you got here?
Okay, how many weeks do we have left?
12.
We have 12.
Plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long season this time.
Ooh. Oh no, even though I had time to think about this, it doesn't make it any easier. Okay. Let's see. Frick. Okay. I think, you know what? Okay. I will pick the side that Vizio won't finish top 3 this season.
Ooh,
just
okay.
to like go against the grain.
Okay.
Because again, like I said yesterday, I was genuinely surprised to see the overall leaderboard to be as set as high as it was. But I wonder if maybe they might experience burnout because from the from the performance that I did see yesterday, I was like, they're looking a little shaky. So if that continues, I say that they won't finish top 3. There's a strong possibility. We have 12 weeks left. I mean, everyone else is close in score, so who knows?
It is a very long season, so okay, I will take then Intel will win Season 4 of Series E. Of course, we did just see the overall standings, and Vizio sitting with quite a comfortable lead, but as Stella and I just talked about, there's still a ton of time left in the season, and Vizio has taken a little bit of a drop over the last few weeks, but the focus here is on Team Intel. I don't care about Team Vizio. Let's talk Team Intel. They have made some roster changes over the last few weeks. The original CMP roster that qualified for Season 4 does no longer exist, but I think the new one is looking strong. They've actually been competing in the MFAM 30K Gauntlet today. They've won a game. They're looking really strong, and I think they are trending in the right direction. They still sit in the top 3, so they are right on the heels of Team Nerf, so they're exactly in the position that they want to be, and I think with the way they are trending, they've got plenty of time to continue to build on that momentum, so I'm taking Intel to win Season 4 of Series E. That's definitely going to be a hard one, but we'll see how it pans out. Second one here, and I get to choose first this time, is going to be Kimchi Lee or Turns for your Dark Horse Series E MVP this season. And I am going to take my man Kimchi Lee. Of course, I was already talking about Team Excedrin. I'm sorry. I hate to do it to you, Stella, but I'm going to take Kimchi Lee because I actually think Kimchi Lee might be the best IGL in the Series E right now. I think the way that he has Excedrin moving around the map very consistently, I think the consistency of the team that I continue talking about is in large part due to the IGLing we get from Kimchi Lee. So I think best IGL in Series E, and that is why he is my Dark Horse MVP candidate.
Oh my God, you chose. Ooh. Okay.
I mean, hey, you were hyping Nerf. Turns is a big part of that.
Yes, and they make some really good decisions. Here's it. Turns. It's look. I have complete faith in you. I do. But first of all, Kimchi Lee and I are both Korean, so like I gotta root for him, right?
That's fair.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I think that again, Team Nerf, like I did notice that they were winning a lot of clutch fights, a lot of scenarios where I would totally expect them not to win, but they do win out and they do make a full recovery. So I'm very, like, I do have a lot of faith in Team Nerf, and I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like I was not really paying attention to them until yesterday. So I feel like with the way that they are operating together, like the way that they are coordinating, you know what? Yeah. Turns can totally take that title away from my man Kimchi Lee. So you know what? In your face, Yeso.
I can see the pain that you're feeling,
but you know
having to say that about Kimchi.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, it's fine. Anyways.
It's all right. We still love you, Kimchi Lee. Last one here, and I think this one is certainly a tough choice as well.
Ooh.
Team Esports Arena or NRG will win ALGS Split 2 playoffs. And let's say, just theoretically, because obviously things may change, but let's say Split 2 playoffs are, again, an NA-only tournament.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to say ESA. ESA is going to take the Split 2 playoffs. They have been getting better and better. The quality in which their gameplay has improved has only gone up since I've seen them participating in actual pro Pro League, and it's like astounding to see the performance just continue to go up. And I mean, and like, again, I know we're going to talk about the ALGS stuff, but like they placed third. Like that is amazing. And yeah, I don't know. I think here's the thing. I think NRG is a great team, right? Like Sweet is a great IGL, but they are used to that sort of quality being like their baseline. ESA has something to prove, and they want to continue to work on their skills. And I feel like that sort of drive is just going to take them the extra mile. So that's my opinion.
Interesting enough, I thought you were going to pick NRG here. I was entirely prepared to be like, no, it's Team Esports Arena. So I'm actually surprised that you take ESA here, though I think you make some great points.
You took Kimchi Lee from me, so I'll take ESA.
Okay, I see how it is. I see. This is the game we're playing. Okay.
Balanced
NRG.
as all things should be.
I don't know that there's much I have to say here. It's NRG. They've got Sweet. Best IGL in the game. I'm sorry, Hal. Best IGL in the game, Sweet. I think the name speaks for itself. NRG, you know, a lot of people talk about TSM a lot, and rightfully so. When you look at the entire history of competitive Apex, I think TSM has maybe the strongest argument for the best historic org in Apex Legends. And I think that's fine. But I think if you look at the last year to year and a half, I think NRG is the most dangerous squad out there. Sweet is incredible. The entire roster is disgusting. They looked really good and finished strong on Sunday, so I'm taking NRG. I hate to do it to my ESA boys, but NRG, they're just too good.
He hates to do it, but he has to because he took Kimchi from me. So.
I do. So there it is.
Ooh,
that's
is
it.
Sweet.
That's it for Pick a Side. Let's talk about those ALGS playoffs that we saw on Sunday. I do want to pull up the standings at the end of the day here first, so we can just take a peek at how everything finished out. And here it is for you all at home. Of course, TSM took the title, 93 points. They had a very, very strong day. NRG and Team Esports Arena, who we just talked about, round out the top three. Of course, some interesting surprises too, seeing a squad like Complexity outside of the top 10. 100 Thieves in last place was a huge surprise for a lot of people. Where do you want to kind of start talking about these playoffs we saw last weekend, Stella?
Oh, man. I mean, you kind of pointed out the big ones for me. I was also surprised to see Lazarus not doing as well. And 100 Thieves has a pretty strong roster as well. So the fact that they're last place in 20th, kind of not a great start. But I do want to, I know we kind of touched on it. TSM had a great match. I mean, they hit match point in game 4, which is kind of incredible. Also, that kind of brings up a whole other rant that I have about match points, but
Go off.
You know what, that's fine.
Go off.
Really?
Come on.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
come on. What do you got for me?
I don't like it. Ever
Really?
since championships last year, I thought it was a really terrible format. Like, yes, it is really exciting for you know, the audience to watch, but like
Sure.
the risk that it runs of like it going overtime, and the fact that it doesn't necessarily mean that the team that does take a win in the next round after match point is the best, right?
Sure.
Just because it's like, oh, well, you ended up winning. You just got lucky. Let's say the last two teams started fighting and they didn't have to do anything. That doesn't necessarily showcase why they should be the champs, right? So I feel like there's a lot that needs to be reworked about that. Match point could work if they set some more limitations, but I don't know. Currently, it feels like it's just a lot more work than it's worth right now, especially for players, because let's be real. Let's say every team ends up fighting as soon as match point gets hit and they all hit match point. Like, it's just going to be exhausting, not only for the casters, but also for the players. So the longer they play, the less their performance will be. And I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of seeing who's the best in a battle royale. So that's
Yeah, I think the match point format also stems from the fact that it feels like it gets towards the traditional sports kind of angle where you feel like you get that definitive winner, right? I think some viewers may look at it and watch just a typical, like we do here in Series E, that just 6-game point format, and feel like, you know, hey, you could have a TSM crush the first 3 games, do nothing for the last 3 games, but win just off of the lead that they were able to build. But with the match point format, you kind of get that definitive, the team that won the last game won it all because they were on match point and they were able to do it. Is there a format you would prefer? Would you just like to go to just kind of the standard 6-game format we have, or maybe an expanded, like an 8-game just points format like we run? Is there one that you would kind of hope to do, or do you just feel like match point maybe needs some tweaks to have it kind of perform better to what you would hope?
I definitely think that more realistically, match point just needs a few tweaks. What those tweaks would be, I'm not entirely sure. I would have to look at. I would have to talk to someone over at ALGS about how they come up with the point system and everything. But I did have the idea, I think, like last championships, where it just kept on going, and I was just like, oh my god, we're never going to go to bed. Oh my god. But I'm pretty sure at one point I was just like, well, if enough teams do end up getting match point, or like let's say that there are like 7 games, right, and then the 8th game, which even teams will be exhausted then, give the other teams, like top 5 teams, a chance to make double the amount of points so that they could usurp the first, or however many points they need to take first place, so that the last game is completely up in the air. Doesn't matter if you have match point, like you can get as many points as you need to get to the first spot. That's kind of like extra battle royale rule-y, but I feel like a tournament in that style might be kind of fun to watch, because knowing that, like, hey, this team in 5th place could take first if they're really good in this one game. It's like, oh, well, crap. Now I got to pay attention to everything and really, like, do I take this fight? Do I play more reserved till like last circle? I don't know. I feel like it might make things a little bit more interesting.
I think one I'd like to see tried would be maybe slightly lowering the match point threshold. It was at 50 this past week, and maybe drop it to 40 and then just set a hard game cap, right? Maybe you set it at 8.
Okay.
That is the maximum allowable game. So even if you play that 8th game and don't get a team on match point winning, then it just ends up with the standings as they are. If you don't get that like definitive match point winner. That's something I'd like to see tried. I don't know that that necessarily solves all of the problems, but I think trying to formulate in a way where you have that hard cap ensures that the tournament doesn't run long. Of course, we had EMEA on Saturday run a full 10 games, which is crazy to think about. So there's no perfect answer, and no format is perfect, but I think it is an interesting discussion. And I will say, at the very least, it was enjoyable as a viewer. It was a very crazy weekend of games, and I certainly enjoyed watching it. Let's dig just a little bit more into the teams and the performances that we saw from the weekend before we wrap up the Apex discussion. We talked about 100 Thieves being at the bottom, that being a big surprise. A couple teams near the top that were a little bit surprising. We had Torrent and Premier looking really strong, had some great performances, and those were definitely teams that I didn't have my eye on, even necessarily as a dark horse, to perform well on Sunday.
Yeah, same. I was going to point out, I was like, I'm not going to lie, I don't think I've been paying attention to them until, like, Sunday. So.
That's okay. Hey, let's be clear. You weren't alone. It's not just on you.
I think that's great, though. I love that, honestly, like, we love Team Liquid. We love Complexity. We love TSM. And I really like to see other teams kind of taking up, the helm in Apex, because it is an expanding esports. So to be able to see so many other teams, like, really up the ante is really great. I mean, they beat out G2, which ended up in 8th place. And I was like, G2 has been really strong recently, too. So the fact that they were bumped down by 2 other teams that I really wasn't looking at in any way, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I see that teams are really upping the stakes, because this is year 2, and they're just like, yeah, we know what this could mean. So, yeah, I don't know. If this first placement is anything to go off of, I feel like February's matches are going to be even more intense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Obviously, we'll get a nice little influx of fresh talent as well with the Challenger Circuit qualifiers into Split 2. We'll see teams like CLG returning, who certainly have a lot to prove after a fairly rough showing the last couple of months. But there is going to be some fresh blood in there, and I think that's certainly exciting, and I'm looking forward to Split 2. And I'm looking forward to, fingers crossed, hopefully getting some international competition. Please let me see the best of EMEA and the best of NA, so that we can have, I come from a big League of Legends background, and I've spent all these years with being little brother to EU and getting beaten up by them all the time, and now I'm looking at Apex, I'm like, this is my chance. The NA boys are going to show up. Sweet, Hal, ESA are going to go out and clap some EA teams. Or EU teams, I should say. I need it. I need international competition because I need some bragging rights over the EU boys.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah, see, I feel the opposite. I feel like EMEA would totally slap the NA boys around.
No, come on.
Ooh, I don't, listen, that's my opinion. I just feel like they get slapped around. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? Let's get some international competition, and we'll find out, which one of us is right.
I will put down a bet.
Let's go.
Bet my friendship with Kimchi Lee.
Whoever wins gets to be Kimchi's best friend and go over for sushi.
We get custody of Kimchi.
There we go. I like it.
Oh my God.
Stella, it's been awesome talking with you. Just want to give you the opportunity. Where can the people follow you, check you out, and see what's going on with you these days?
Sure. I mean, well, when I'm not on IGN doing Apex news, which, by the way, I can't talk about it, but I will definitely be bringing news about the next season soon. So
we're
keep
very
an eye
close.
On that. And yeah, I stream like every night when I'm not casting here. Hey, see what I did there? I'm plugging ESA on ESA's channel. Anyways,
yes.
but yeah, I'm streaming at twitch.tv/ParallaxStella, and I post a lot on Twitter. Bad takes. I don't know, jokes.
Following you on Twitter has been one of my favorite new follows over the last few months because
really?
Every time you just all the clips I see on Twitter of your streams. Every time I see one, I'm like, oh, here we go. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. Like you just having something wacky happen in Halo or whatever and just losing your mind. It's always so entertaining. So every time I see you in my feed and I see a clip under it, I'm like, all right, what do we got here? Let's see it.
Oh, no. You get your popcorn out. You're like, all right,
yes,
let's take a look.
Every time. I'm all about it. So definitely make sure to follow Stella, support her, and keep an eye out for her, of course, on future Series E broadcasts. Again, it was a pleasure to listen to you this Wednesday night. Thanks so much for coming to hang out, Stella. We'll work on our Guilty Gear skills very soon.
Oh, God.
We've got some work ahead of us.
Yeah, no, we got to do shots before.
Hey, I'm down. I'm game. Right, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for Apex, folks. We're gonna go to a quick break. When we come back, my friend Charles will be joining me to talk some Guilty Gear. We'll see you in a few.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Get the balls in the breaks. I'm talking one chance that was so close for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go! Etc.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's refreshing, refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. They're all our top flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
Everybody, Apex Legends out of the way. It's Guilty Gear Strive time, back once again and joined by my good friend Charles Thorin, coming to hang out and talk some Guilty Gear. How we doing this week, my man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
It's always good to see you. Always good to talk Guilty Gear with you. We had a fun week of play. There's a lot going on too. We were talking about Arc Revo and Week 5 last week. We got a new character, Series E, and Frosty Faustings this week. It's been a pretty good last couple weeks for Guilty Gear.
Yeah, things have been hitting. The tournaments have been rolling online or offline, and of course, Biken, a character that, you know, a lot of the community wanted back into Guilty Gear Strive. You know, they got their prayers answered, and Baiken, I believe, arrived like really late last night. So, you know, some people are dabbling with the character. I think the character has a lot of unique mechanics, a lot of stuff from the previous games, and then also adding some new stuff.
So we're going to talk Baiken, we're going to talk Series E, but first let's take a look at the action we saw from this last week. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Guilty Gear Strive. We're ready to go, all 16 players in the bracket, locked in, ready to fight it out. So let's kick off week number 6 of Series E Guilty Gear Strive.
I called him dirty for it, but you know what? Being ready for it this time, and now he's got the throw. There's that meaty clone setup off of the OTG's Crouching Dust. The 6K again, and then he fakes the burst.
Dash up, close slash. Oh no. Speaking of cheap, corner push in position like this is real cheap. SQ gonna get a lot of bar built up. She is reading Shine like a book. Back this, it don't matter though. SQ still staying solid, has the lead. BRC avoids a 2H. BRC!
Got him.
He's into him. Oh!
Frame trap. Oh, nice jump back. Gets the throw, and that jump dust hits really far down. Burst has to use it. Here comes the meteors.
2K, 2D, mix, sends it out. Had the bar to back himself up. Now be able to use it for that win in the corner situation. Didn't get the command grab too far out though. No shape up. Yo, the PRC to avoid that situation. Burst to keep her in the corner. Far slash again, red RC. Side switch situation, so smart with it. Get that wall push. Oh man, it's right, James. Oh man, it's right.
Like I said, avoided the wall splat. Avoided the wall splat.
You did. Real hard to keep up when your character doesn't have the faster normal. 6-speed does come off preemptively and gets a knockdown.
Oh boy, that's gonna hurt. Here we go. Sword combos through the wall with the super as well. Oh my goodness, where did all that life go? SQ needs one more hit to stay in this, but here comes B.
Once again, it's a situation. Fast fall at D. Off the backboard again. One more hit for the super situation or the PRC.
Oh yeah, there we go. The tap dust, she was blocking low. But here we go, into the wall splat, through the wall. But it's still not safe yet. You know the kind of damage that Ramazol can dish out. That doesn't want to block that so. Oh no!
The windshield wipers.
What about the
B-plays.
shadow clone? It's not a pretty sight, let me tell you.
Nah. Only 6K though, once again, is a pretty sight. And
to fight each other in SQ, like I said, did win the first game, and then I believe Bean won 3 in a row. So Bean is kind of on the path trying to do that again. But here comes SQL getting the hit. I know it's not actually SQL, but it's funny to me now. Oh my god!
Bean on tournament point!
You remember in the winner's finals match, he hit her with the jump dust and it made her tumble, and he whiffed a button on the ground and she got the throw. He was ready for it this time, got the counter hit tumble, and didn't swing a button on landing, and instead had the mix-ups ready to go. That is adjustment right there.
That definitely is. That's why he's, you know, strong competitor, still making the magic happen with his character. Gonna build some tension after this wall break. Ain't gonna wait for the aggression. Actually backs off. SQ has a lot of bar. And you've seen what she does with that. You know, windshield wipers, get the full effect. Again, the jump in. That's going to be the win. James.
Oh no, wow, what a decision. Just RC super jump off the slowdown and gets the win. Being 2 times Series E champion for Guilty Gear Strive.
That was all of the action from our bracket last night. Bean coming out on top again, second Series E victory there for Bean, now matching Hotashi with 2 wins under his belt as well. So well done from Bean. Also a good showing there from SQ. Anything kind of jump out to you off the rip from what we saw last night, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be mainly just SQ and Apology Man's performance coming through, right? I believe you said it was the first time we've had a Ramathal in Grand.
I believe so, which is crazy because I feel like so much discussion I've heard since jumping into Guilty Gear is like, yeah, Ramathal is just kind of busted.
Right.
He's like one of the most OP characters, and everybody plays her.
Yeah, and I mean, even just throughout like when you look through, some of these other previous brackets, Ramlethal is a character that's heavily represented, but never really got to that grands, right? And it's kind of like one of those top tier curses where it's like, okay, your character's busted, but everyone knows how to play against your character, or like, most players have a lot of that experience. So the fact that SQ was able to come out there with the Ram and really bring Ramlethal like all the way to grand finals was really sick to watch. And yeah, Bean just putting everyone in the chip blender and. Not two in a row, but now two, first place finishes for Bean. That's huge. And I mean, the only other person that has something like that is Hotashi, right? So
yeah, I think Bean's been really impressive. To SQ's credit as well, not only being the first Ram to get into grands, but taking Bean to 5 games in winners finals and grand finals. Wasn't able to get the reset, of course, but I think that is impressive as well. Those were both very tight best of 5s between Bean and SQ, and it was really fun to watch and tight really all the way down to the wire. So credit to SQ there, especially that was also SQ's first time in our Thursday bracket and going through some of that talent. Really well done there from SQ, so credit to them for sure. But of course, yeah, Bean with that second victory is huge, and that's now of the 4 weeks we've gotten to see Bean third place, first, I think outside of top 8 last week, which was the anomaly, and then back to first place tonight. And one thing that I was kind of discussing at the end of the show last night is it felt like Hotashi pretty quickly established himself as like the best player consistently through the first 4 weeks, and it seems like Bean may be stealing that title here with this run we've seen.
Yeah, really consistent. Didn't even, I don't know if you get bonus points for like not getting the bracket reset, but nonetheless, right? I mean, really good stuff to Bean, and I mean, really doing it with the character that we only see Bean on, at least in our brackets, right?
Sure.
For the 16-man invitational brackets. So, yeah, I mean, players like Bean, Adventure, playing like a little bit more on the obscured side of the meta there, and showing real success. I mean, Chip, you have the lowest health pool in the game, but you have incredible mix, right? And we really saw Bean. I just love the use of RC, really like going into a lot of like overhead RCs, creating a lot of high-low mix-ups. And we saw like there was even a round where Bean got a perfect with like back-to-back command grabs. That command grab does a lot of damage for a grab. So
sure.
Being able to create situations where your opponent's respecting your mix so much on get up, right, and you're able to get those openings. So really impressive stuff from Bean.
Yeah, we're gonna bring up the top 8 bracket from last night just so we can take a peek at how all of the action finished out. And you mentioned specifically playing those lower tier, more uncommon characters. You mentioned Bean, you talk about Adventure, but somebody you also mentioned earlier who ended up finishing top 3 is Apology Man on the Faust, and the most successful performance we've seen from Apology Man so far has been in the bracket, I believe 3 or 4 weeks so far this season, getting all the way to losers finals, losing 3-1 to SQ. And I thought Apology Man looked really good last night. You can see that run through the losers bracket, taking out Dawn in 5 games, Idiosyncrasy in 4. Apology Man had a really good showing last night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I believe, Apology Man, not getting double eliminated, but like lost to Bean and then in losers lost to SQ. So nonetheless, pretty impressive losers run, coming through, was stopped in the losers finals, but always fun to watch the Faust, right? Definitely want to get some more like happy chaos. Like I think one of the fun things about these brackets is we get to see really diverse characters since it is an invitational, right? So hoping to see some more happy chaos, but Faust coming in, Apology Man obviously, and Hook, the 2 main players that represent that character, so always a treat to watch them. We got to see a bunch of cool item play. Obviously, when your character throws random items, you get to see a lot of unique interactions, right? So even like side switch bomb mix-ups, I saw one thing Apology Man do. So it's really cool to see the character come out here.
Yeah, I think it's great. And also one player I do want to highlight, and when we talked about our predictions last week, I had my eye on Idiosyncrasy. I think started the season really strong, seemed to hit a bit of a lull over those middle weeks, came out last night. One of the best performances we've seen from Idiosyncrasy. Finishes in 4th place, obviously goes down to Apology Man in losers semifinals, but I feel like Idiosyncrasy looked really good. That 3-0 against House of Bacon was pretty definitive. That was a really impressive set there from Idiosyncrasy, and I'm looking at this to hopefully be kind of a stepping stone for Idiosyncrasy. I think his Nago is really incredible, and I want to see him continue to do more, so I hope he can continue to build off of what we saw from him last night, because when he's popping off and can be that maybe challenge to Hotashi for Nago supremacy in this bracket, I think it's really fun, so I love to see that from him. As we get ready for next week, let's take a look at the overall standings right now in Series E. Of course, Idiosyncrasy getting some work done. Still has quite a gap to make up here. Razo still sitting at the top, now 120 points. Jonathan Tene right behind them. Shine rounding out third. So still early in the season. There's still a lot of weeks to be played here, but it seems a pretty definitive top 3 and bottom 3 so far.
Yeah. The gap is growing larger and larger as every week goes by. And Idiosyncrasy was the highest placing Series E's player, this last week. But the points being based off of placements is a really big deal, right? Like, you can be the highest Series E player there, but I mean, if Fort's not going to cut it in terms of closing that gap, right? You really got to sink one of those first place, perhaps like a top 2, top 3 finish, getting into that grands nets you so much points. So Idiosyncrasy doing a great job, in my opinion, like you said, kind of feeling like the bounce back is there, but the bounce got to be has to be a little bit stronger in terms of getting the points at least. Obviously, even though you might not end top 2 at the end of the season, right? You can still compete for those other slots again. So it's not like you're out. It's not like you're perma out. Like, get out of here, get out of the building. But
we're banning everybody outside of top 2. Never come back.
No, we're not that toxic here at ESA. But like, it's no matter what, even if you do get a bit of momentum at the tail end of the season, that could carry over into just the qualifiers anyway, and you just qualify and get your sponsor back nonetheless, right? So really cool to see Idiosyncrasy really have that bounce back. Like you said, felt a little stronger in the beginning of the season, then kind of had that dead zone where it's just like, oh, okay, what's happening, what's going on? But now having that comeback here.
Love to see it there from Idiosyncrasy. We are going to want to talk a little bit of biking, but before we do that, let's do some predictions like we prefer to do every single week. Who do you have your eye on going into next week?
I'm going to go ahead and steal your pick from last week and say Idiosyncrasy. So last week I didn't pick Idiosyncrasy.
Connie, Charles is cheating.
Yeah. But so I am a Nago main, and it's always cool to see different play styles of Nago, right? Okay. And Idiosyncrasy definitely catching my eye, and obviously you watch, if you're a Nago main, you watch Hotashi, but also you can learn a lot from other Nago players like Idiosyncrasy. So hoping that Idiosyncrasy is able to keep the momentum up, keep the consistency when it comes to at least at that top 5, and hopefully like break into that top 3, top 2 area, right?
I definitely think it's a good pick. Idiosyncrasy, in my opinion, trending in the right direction. So we'll see what he can do next week. If you're going to steal that pick, then I'm going to just cheat even further and just say Razo. I'm going Team Intel.
Okay.
Top of the standings. Also, do have to mention Razo is competing at Frozen Faustings right now. I believe was seeded 3rd as well. And you look at, I think the total entrance is over 800 players. So that is a pretty huge boon there for Razo. Is still alive in winners. I think is done playing for today, but will be competing tomorrow. Razo has looked really good. Looked great last week. Looking for that to continue in the future. Razo was, coming into the season, the most hyped player of the Series E pros, right? Finished at the top of the qualifiers. Everybody was talking about how Razo always brings very good, fun, tight sets with them, and everybody kind of had their eye on Razo, and I think rightfully so. Razo has definitely proven that to be true through the first 6 weeks of the season. I think it's going to continue, hopefully carrying some momentum from a good performance at Frozen Faustings this weekend. So I'm looking at Razo. Let's talk a little Biken, though, and it's interesting. I'm going to have a question for you at the end, but let's talk Biken. You've gotten to play it just a little bit. You were out in the studio before testing it out. What kind of stands out to you so far?
Definitely the rope mechanic. I think that's really cool, and like the way Biken can start that off is just by a grab. There's also a special move, like a half circle move, that you can go ahead and attach the rope. I think it's a very double-edged sword mechanic, which I'm always a fan of double-edged swords, where it's like, okay, like you get something out of this.
The risk versus reward.
Right, right. So I mean, essentially, there's just so much distance. So you could be pressuring Baiken, right, and then Baiken get pushed out of the lane, and then she gets pulled back in. So you can maybe continue your pressure, or maybe she can counterattack you, right? So definitely a fan of any mechanic that really adds new scenarios to the game. I think Baiken's rope is something that's going to do that. Could shake up the meta. And it's such a big question mark because I don't even think she's been out for 24 hours, but she's still got some of the older moves too, like the rug move coming out, sweeping you in the legs. So we got some of the classics and we got some new mechanics as well. I think that's something that the Strive team in particular has been doing such a great job bringing in these older characters, right? They have so many different versions of them, right? But they found the right way to kind of bring these characters into Strive, and yeah, it just she feels really good. I think the mechanics are very unique. They'll shake up the meta, in my opinion. I'm really curious to see how her matchups will be against some of the more popular or meta characters like Nago, like the Leo, like the Soul, right? Seeing how, because I feel like when a character really shakes up the meta, they're usually like maybe not beating the more popular characters, but at least pretty competitive with them, right?
Sure.
Because if you just get ran over by all the popular characters, well, sad face.
Yeah, you just go to F tier. Nobody touches you.
Right, right.
The question I want to pose for you, because we've touched on Happy Chaos actually quite a few times over the last few weeks. We've been hoping to see it in the bracket on Thursday nights. We have yet to do so. I'm curious. Let's say theoretically we don't get access to Baiken next week. We have to wait 2 weeks until we can see it in the bracket. Do you think we see Happy Chaos or Baiken first? Has like the play you've gotten so far tell you maybe a little bit about that? Do you think maybe the Baiken might be picked up by more players as maybe that secondary character where we haven't seen that for Happy Chaos so far?
Yeah, it's. I mean, so far I feel like I could see a Happy Chaos winning the bracket. There's amazing players like Deb and Lasso off the top of my head. There's probably a lot more amazing Happy Chaos players, but I mean just those two players alone, I could see them winning the bracket. Very amazing players, and they're Happy Chaos. At this point, like Happy Chaos was such a different character. I feel like a lot of players it's starting to kind of click now in terms of the technical aspect.
More of a
the
steeper
character.
learning curve.
Yeah, yeah. So. And we even see it with Adventure, right? We've seen Adventure have crazy runs with Jacko.
Yes.
So definitely would like to see that. I do think Happy Chaos is capable of winning like these Series E weeklies. And for Baiken, I feel like that character has such a huge fan base that someone really, really good is going to play her. That's just
I remember
how
everybody was freaking out as soon as they announced that she was coming back.
So I mean, I think Baiken there has to be a baseline level of like she can't be trash. If she's trash, then no one's gonna play her, or at least like top level players, right? For the most part, that's how it goes. But I think if Baiken's good enough, the fan base is so like large, and like the meta. Usually, when you have a really large fan base, you don't have to be a top player to lab out every kind of different scenario, right? So even just how fast the information gets found out about Baiken, I think it'll be really, really quick.
I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed getting players like Bean, SQ, others mixing up the meta a little bit. We've now got Chip winning brackets like crazy in Series E, and that's fun. So hoping to see more of that. Let's see some Baikens. Give me some Happy Chaos in the bracket. I'm all about it. I'm a big fan of Adventure with the Jacko. So let's see it, guys. Bring it out on Thursday nights. That's going to do it for us here talking Guilty Gear. Charles, always a pleasure to get to hang out with you. Where can the people find you, follow your content, whatever you got going on right now?
You can follow me on Twitter at CharlesThorin_, or if you want to check out some of my educational content on Smash, you can check me out on Smash University, and yeah, that's pretty much the main stuff.
Go study up, Smashers. Go do it. Trust me. I used to do Smash broadcasts with this guy, and this man's an encyclopedia of knowledge. That frame data, when this man gets into the weeds, it's crazy. It's crazy. So awesome. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, Charles. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for coming to hang out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's going to do it for Guilty Gear Strive. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with some Halo Infinite, so don't go anywhere.
favor. It just gets dwindled down to the United one. I just have to put it out.
Snakebite gonna come out on top, and now the damage has been done. Chi-Chu's on their back.
The series to go the distance, and that means Optic Gaming needs to wake up. It appears that they've started to do so.
All right, everybody, welcome back to C9 Stan Hour here on Series Recap. We are, of course, getting ready for the start of Series Z Halo Infinite, but first, we can talk a little bit about our good friends at Cloud9. If you watched the show last week, you probably heard me declare that the C9 era has begun. I'm not the progenitor of that idea. Trust me, C9 has made it very clear on their social media and stuff, and just with their play. But of course, HCS Pro Series number 4 just happened last night, and Cloud9 win again. They take out Sentinels in grand finals, and this team is incredible. They have won Raleigh and the first 4 HCS Pro Series so far. They have been, by and large, no real discussion here, the best team in Halo Infinite so far. And now the interesting discussion is because we are, of course, getting ready for Anaheim coming up. DreamHack Anaheim, which will be the first North American minor. And this is going to be a very interesting tournament because, of course, with everything that happened with Sentinels and Royal 2 in the lead up to Raleigh, Royal 2 is back. The ban is done. We'll be back to compete now with Sentinels. And the question a lot of people are going to be asking is, all right, now that Royal 2 is back, is Sentinels ready to end Cloud9's reign? And one thing I do want to make clear is I feel like there are going to be some people, looking at you Sentinels fans, that are going to try to put an asterisk on this C9 era we've seen so far. And granted, it hasn't been very long, so I feel like it's more the start of an era. But I feel like a lot of folks are going to try and put an asterisk on this C9 start because of, Sentinels didn't have Royal 2, it's not the same. But I think it's very clear, if you watch the way that Cloud9 has been playing, that they have just been the best team. I get that Sentinels haven't had their full roster, but Cloud9 has been clapping everybody, not just Sentinels. They've been beaten up on FaZe, Optic, United, and everybody else. So while I think Royal 2's return to the Sentinels roster, them being back at full strength, will certainly change things. And I'm looking forward to seeing Sentinels and Cloud9 duking it out in a best of 5 very soon with the full rosters assembled. I think it is very important that there is no asterisk necessary. Cloud9 has been definitively the best team to start Halo Infinite, full stop, and I'm looking forward to the competition continuing to grow. I love what I have seen from C9. They have been incredible to watch, and I think they are going to continue to define the early legacy of the Halo Infinite competitive scene, and I absolutely love it. I'm super excited. I cannot wait for Anaheim. I think that competition is going to be incredible, but it is, of course, the beginning of the C9 era, and I'm looking forward to Royal 2 coming back. It's super exciting. But yeah, Sentinels fans, no asterisk. Don't even try. I'm looking at you, Eddie. I see you out there in production. Not allowed. So, of course, the C9 4-peat there is huge, but the big thing for us here at Esports Arena is, of course, Series E, and we're kicking off Halo Infinite very soon. The qualifiers start this coming Monday. Today is the 28th of January. Monday is January 31st at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We will kick off our first qualifier for Series E Halo Infinite. The next one will be a week later, Monday, February 7th. And the way things are going to work, folks, is it's going to be a double elim bracket, and the team that wins each qualifier qualifies for Series E. You can see the full Series E schedule on the right side of your screen. It's going to be an 8-week season with Monday and Wednesday night competitions. Monday is going to be your typical open double elim bracket. And the very cool thing about Wednesday is going to be a bit more of a flexible invite-only format. I'm very excited about that. Of course, the Series E teams will be there, but I'm looking forward to getting to see some of the best teams in the world come to compete with our pros in some interesting formats. We're going to mix things up. We're going to see, some standard brackets between the squads, but some different formats that I think are going to make things interesting, keep things fresh, and keep the competition very interesting. So that is the schedule. Of course, want to remind you folks, if you haven't signed up right now, there are still slots available in Monday's qualifier. Head over to matchareno.com/ESA, sign up, get in on the fun. This is a chance to get sponsored, get drafted by a partnered brand, get a monthly salary, compete with great teams. You want to look at, Apex Legends, look at Guilty Gear Strive for what those kind of players have been able to do, the way they've been able to use the platform of Series E to learn, grow, and find opportunities. We're looking to do the same thing for you folks in Halo Infinite. So do not miss out on this opportunity. You have 2 shots to qualify. Again, January 31st, February 7th. Get in there, win it, get in to Series E. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'll be on the show. I'm super psyched about it. It's going to be a packed week of content next week. That is, though, going to do it for us here at Series Recap. Thank you so much for joining us. Big thank you again to both of my guests, both Stella and Charles. Great to sit down with both of them, talk about Series E and Guilty Gear, really kind of get into the weeds on all of this. It's fun to have these discussions with these just really smart and passionate people in these scenes. It's really quite a pleasure, and I consider myself very lucky to be able to do so. Do want to let you know, of course, while I am wrapping up Series Recap here, the show actually is not going to end. If you guys are Pokemon fans, Pokemon Legends Arceus just released today. We're big fans of Nintendo, and we've actually partnered with them to have an activation at all of our stores all across the country. We've got 18 esports arenas inside of Walmarts all over the US. If you're looking for one near you, use !point locations. But if you want to try out the brand new Pokemon title that's breaking the mold of traditional Pokemon, you can come out to an esports arena near you. You can try it out, play with us, check things out, so make sure to do that. Again, use !point locations. Come find an esports arena near you and come play Pokemon with us. We'd love to see you. As we wrap the show, though, we are going to have a Pokemon Legends Arceus stream coming up right after this. My good friend Luke Shimona Hebrew, he's going to be hanging out, cracking the game open for the first time, playing it with all of you. I think he's going to be opening some Pokemon cards too. It's going to be a nice, chill, fun stream. So maybe if you haven't decided yet whether you want to buy the game or not, hang out, watch the stream, see what you think, let us know. But that's going to do it for us here, folks. My name's Yeso. It's been a pleasure to be your host here today. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll see you again next time.